there are some scheduling things. Anyways, the point is, I'm just casting these because I want to, and because I hope that all of them get cast. And if you happen to be like, I enjoy commentary, or honestly, I enjoy getting partoofs, you can at least do it here, as opposed to, someone else that you don't know anything about and doesn't offer partoofs. Let's be honest. So, go wherever you feel the wind blow, and if it's towards Mara versus Life, that's totally understandable. But we're into game number 1 of this best of 3. And upper left on King Sejong Station, we have our purple Zerg, it's SKT's Dark. In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, it's CJ's herO. Now, this is the losers bracket. I know it seemed like forever ago, especially since it's like 5 a.m. now, so I don't know what time is. Time is relative, and I'm confused. But he just lost versus Classic. Very abrupt 2-0 PvP. Just kind of like throw your hands up and go like, oh, that happened, kind of thing. So they're both in the bottom, the losers bracket. Whoever loses this is actually out of the tournament. Whoever wins this will go on to face probably the winner of MMA versus Hyun. But guys, seriously, that upper bracket got seriously heavily delayed. It's causing weird, like, timing issues for everyone, including the players, really. They don't know when they can take breaks, and it creates even further timing problems. And, it's just, them's the breaks on qualifiers sometimes, It can be fun in a chaotic way, and sometimes it's just like, man, I really wish this was just like, here, get into this game and cast this, because that'd probably be easier, but whatever. Let's hype up the players a little bit, alright? Who did Dark actually lose to, is my first question, right? Joan, you were supposed to leave. What are you doing back here? Where am I not looking to see Dark? Oh, okay. Alright, so that's what happened. He lost versus Son, or San, however you want to say it. PVZ, Son can be, sometimes very predictable, and sometimes he'll mix in a couple of things that make him really unstoppable. I mean, he certainly had a very good PVZ win record, so understandable for Dark, but I know a couple of you were chatting it up, Dark is actually, like, he has been on a, not really a tear, so much as just, like, everyone expects him to be doing good because he's had so much praise from his teammates, from, other different sources. Just, like, he is good. And he's starting to show it, Which most people, most people don't, Everyone, the casters, the players, are like, oh yeah, next big guy, next big guy. Then they take, like, 2 years, and at that point it doesn't really count, right? But Dark's finally starting to get into that stride. He's looking really good. Is PVZ his matchup? Maybe. Maybe. But I, for one, love him because A, SKT, and B, Slayers. Unless I'm gonna check this before I wreck myself, am I right? Yes, okay, good. So, I love Slayers, and I love SKT, because they both were founded by Boxer, and that's a good enough reason to love anything. So, the fact that Dark is finally becoming the awesome boss that he always should have been is of no surprise to me, good sir. That's why he's on my Fantasy Pro League team, which is the coolest Pro League team. Team Base Trade. I would have named it Team Zombie Grub, but I always feel bad that Rifkin doesn't know anything about Korean StarCraft. Ha! Shots fired. But seriously, he wouldn't have made his own. And that just isn't acceptable. Well, the game's finally starting to heat up a little bit. Obviously, that might have been an actual attempt at a proxy hatchery, but herO took it seriously, so that wasn't going to happen. But these are a lot of lings, guys. This isn't just the 4, I mean, even usually 2, sometimes absolutely 0. Okay, if they're being really greedy. This is 10, and while 10 slow lings might be laughable in some situations, it's really not here. I mean, that Stalker's got to have good micro. The Militia Core obviously is just added DPS, but if they get far enough away from it, it is kind of slow. Probes are going to go down here. I think that was 3, 4... 4? Yeah. Oh, good counting, CG. You can count to 4. Yeah, that was 4 kills for 10 lings. Not exactly worth it, like, mineral to mineral, right? But I don't know. I think what could have happened, and what is probably the best case scenario, is that it's not a game-ending move, no. But maybe you get 2 stalkers, 1 stalker, a stalker, and a sentry, maybe something like that, and also a couple of probes. That would have been the best thing that ever happened. But this is 3 gateways. There is a Stargate coming up behind it. Not going to be very dedicated. You know, if he didn't see opportunity, he actually just could go ahead and not have put a proxy pylon down, actually. But he chose to, and it's actually going to work out rather well. Only going for stalkers might seem like, okay, see if this thing, you know, only slow lings, maybe zealots, but, you know, as long as they're off of creep, they will be able to kite them, but they're getting caught on creep. Okay, good time up there. I don't think that was enough lings to actually kill them, even if they had surrounded them, but when you think about how you shouldn't be losing any stalkers to slow lings, then yeah, okay, good time warp. There's good micro all around. I mean, this is also, again, forcing out a lot of lings. We actually have a Void Ray follow-up, so maybe afraid a couple of roaches are going to pop out soon and really wreck his, in a counterattack, which is definitely a thing to be afraid of. A Roach Warren is on the way, but only because I think Dark doesn't know what's going on. He is in the dark! Oh! Snap. Puns everywhere. That Oracle comes in, though, and actually kills... kills a queen and I guess a couple of drones as well. 3 queens on that guy. Girl? It's a girl, isn't it? Yeah. But this Void Ray, it won't help out against the Lings, but obviously it is a unit that will not die to anything that Dark has right now, and that's kind of like more no, not more beneficial, but it's something else that's really, really good, right? It deals a lot of damage to roaches if there are roaches out in the field, and it just won't die, so at least you have that covering something. But Hero needs to wait just a little bit longer for a couple more centuries, maybe. At any point in there, actually, it does finish. Ling speed will finish, and that was just... That was both bad luck and a little bit of just... Try not to be too harsh on Hero here, but it does not seem to be his lucky day, man. He thought maybe he had 30 more seconds on Ling speed, or maybe there wasn't going to be any Ling speed at all, and instead he loses all of his stalkers. The sentries cannot go out there by themselves, especially after the force fields they tried to put down to save said stalkers. And while this Void Ray will buy him a lot of time, as in I don't think he'll be able to break it, it just, you know, that was a lot of his army. That was his third taking army. Yeah, apparently he's going to try and go for an all-in. But he also got a Forge and a Twilight Council. So this will be a little mistimed. You'll have +1, but I don't know about Blink. If he does decide to go for it. Looks like the field, the Oracle just barely doesn't die. Let's see what's seen here. Surprisingly little. It has 8 kills, though, and I think most of those are from the drones. Yeah, kind of even right there. And what is the tech of choice of Dark? That layer actually seemed a little bit late. I think he was pretty focused on the counterattack, but... Oh no, it's actually finishing, so never mind. It's actually pretty well timed. So what's it gonna be? Hydra's Den? Yep, Hydra's Den. I don't believe he got any Roach speed, so... I don't know if he's actually going to get roaches. You know, he got that Roach Warren kind of late to defend the 3-gate. It really wasn't that worth it in regards to that, but obviously the counterattack was okay. You know, killed a Forge, so I guess it's somewhat worth it. But that could have just been precautionary. Again, he did not know what was going on inside Hero's base, if that was a 3-gate attack or a 7-gate attack that was following it. So it's possibly just goes into Ling Hydra. Usually if you skip Roach speed, that is your choice. And Ling Hydra certainly is good, but sometimes, you know, in a perfect scenario, the Lings all die, and then the Hydras don't have any buffer, and without buffer, not so good. Roaches usually are just a little more tanky, obviously, than Lings, but they do cost just a little bit more, too. So let's see how this will work. Hero did not all-in. He is getting a 3rd base behind it. And I was about to say, like, it would have been kind of a weak all-in. So all these gateways, while they were put down just a little bit, you know, faster than the 3rd, like a lot faster than the 3rd, it was just because that 3rd had to be so delayed thanks to those stalkers dying, and that's really disappointing. As long as he doesn't lose the Militia Corps, you should not lose these units. You know, if it was a perfect situation where maybe Dark was getting a 4th and being super greedy, you actually kill something. A lot of drones, maybe even a 3rd with good force fields. Like, that would be amazing, although pretty uncommon in King Sejong. But otherwise, you just go back home, you know? No big deal. If you burned a recall, that kind of sucks, but hopefully we'll be able to hold on. Blink's finished up, +2 is a long ways away, and Dark, well, he wasn't just getting units to defend. He's gonna attack. He's also gonna get a Spire. Muta's transition is a pretty common transition after Roach or Ling Hydra. When you go Roach Hydra, you usually see them going to Vipers. But I love that Hero is being so active, you know. Most, you know, non-pro gamer Protosses, and especially, like, you know, the skill that Hero is at would be very, like, up in, like, holding their base, not doing anything. too scared to ever push out. But just being out here means that he might get a lucky couple of shots on the Hydralisk. He might be able to force it off the Lings. Again, getting that perfect scenario where you get rid of the buffer for the Hydras. It's just important that he's active. Dangerous, of course, but important. That's such a scary army. Without force fields, it's like, oh my god, the army's gonna lose. But with force fields, herO can of course hold on. And Dark really does not want to push past the army or up that ramp. Remember that he has that Spire transition going down. Now I believe that herO's Phoenix saw that. No! Oh, the third Spires are always the trickiest Spires, I swear. But if he's, you know, he might see this and still think, maybe, I don't know. Blink forward to save every unit. There you go. No problem. This is so dangerous. He realizes it. And Dark finally just goes for the wraparound on the attack, and also gonna get used at the same time. A very common tactic, you know? They're gonna be so focused defending here, in fact, just maybe give up the Nexus, because this is gonna go down, and you ain't gonna help that. I'm sorry, herO. It's not gonna happen. But maybe with some good force, he'll be able to at least kill the army. The problem is that you're going to have 14 mutas probably going straight into this natural that is totally unprotected. Now, he does have a Stargate as you open up with that Oracle, but one Phoenix at a time does not make an anti-muta army. But a Warp Prism can be surprisingly helpful if it doesn't just strike straight off, and it does exactly that. Well, it still killed a force, so I think that's worth it. I do wish, for herO's sake, that it bought just a little more time. Obviously, also a Scout. Ooh, this is not going as well as maybe herO thought. No, okay. Kind of salvaged that towards the end. That was his first sight of mutas, but remember, he still lost that third. He actually did not take down most of the army. Like, one of the worst things that can happen is that you actually give the army away, killing the third, and then a counterattack immediately happens. You know, muta count just really isn't high enough to deal with it. Not the case here. Dark, while he doesn't have a fourth, he has so much control, you know? It looks like herO is going to try and go into Phoenixes. Phoenix games usually always seem to go better. Is that the right way to put it? For the Protoss? Usually if they only go for Blink Stalkers, they're just forced to all in, you know, base trade pretty much. Sometimes even without Archons, which usually doesn't go well. But Phoenixes can actually make a bit longer of a game. Here's the thing though. Looking at that production tab, Hydra's on the way. Oof. It's a little bit of a trick with the mutas, you know? Obviously it's enough mutas to do a lot of damage. 18 mutas, plus 1 is on the way. But without that third having been mined, you know, this entire time, it's only now just up and running, the gas wasn't really there to also crank out the Colossus. So sentries have to do a lot of work here against the Hydralisk, and the Phoenix count will only help so much too. Well, the Lings are kind of being maybe sacrificed a little bit. No, actually, they wrap around the sentry, so not sacrificed at all. In fact, completely worth it. Do get those final important force fields down, however, to block out the Hydras, and that's really important because he's also, you know, dealing with everything going on the other side. So this has actually been a really great defense. Again, not that much splash, but that Blink Stalker army, just look at the Blink Stalkers coming up like ants, man. That is enough with decent force field to take on a Hydralisk army. He also has better upgrade. No, just kidding. That's +2. One thing he did have to give up, of course, besides Colossus, is also upgrades. A little unfortunate. Having +3 on those Blink Stalkers can really make quite the difference, but still, it is even upgrades. Those mutas are just trying to do whatever they can. Looks like they are willing to give themselves up just for probe kills, but there's a gigantic fight going on their side. How many force fields and how good can they be for herO to really take this, though? The Roaches have trickled in a little bit, too. He did get the Roach speed, finally, so that's more of a buffer than Dark has ever had previously, and Corruptors are on the way as well. He'll have to lose this fourth. Force fields just find that position sometimes in some maps, but with the Corruptors, I don't know if he can survive. Oh, I was like, oh man, the Colossus went the long way around. As you can see, Dark still has a kind of a big bank. So, I mean, the lack of a fourth obviously is not great, but again, I don't know about taking this fight. You're gonna lose the fourth. They could definitely stack, you know, the army on it without much of a problem, and yeah, just wait for those Corruptors. Now, Corruptors are not the best units, and it looks like all the mutas did die. They were, you know, they were asked the main, they were asked the third, and the Phoenixes did clean them up. But we're back down to a very basic lair composition that is strong, no doubt, but again, it all comes down to those force fields. 5 sentries, though, and only a couple of force fields to use, and this is kind of a wide part, unless he chokes himself in at one point. See how herO handles it. Double expansion behind this from Dark, I really like that. Two Phoenixes left over from the epic battle versus the Mutas are going to try to kill, I guess, a drone very slowly. And you know what? Dark does choke himself in here. This might be the worst thing he could do. Some of his units are targeting probes, some of them are targeting the Nexus, and only some of them are targeting the Blink Stalker, so while the Colossus go down very fast, actually Roaches in the back didn't even catch that. Most of the ground army from Dark also died, but I think he took down most of, 21 Hydras in the way, never mind. Still going to be a Remax that here just can't deal with, especially on two bases. You know, that could have been cleaner, that could have been a wider arc, that could have been a lot of things, but it doesn't matter. In the end, Dark had this game under control, I think, for a while, and herO had some pretty great defense, but that might just be the nail in the coffin with this next group of units out in the way. No way you can afford more than one Colossus. If he affords that, then what else is he missing from that army? Oh, this army just looks so small. herO. Going for basically the all-in right now. One Colossus will not deal damage fast enough. Good concave on the high ground as well. Force field's not nearly as abused here. He could do really cool micro until the Corruptors kill the Warp Prism. And he is trying his damnedest to do so. Oh, just barely misses the force field. Could have gotten a couple of roaches right there. But at this point, even if you kill one base, there's another. Even if you kill two bases, that army still beats yours. I mean, look at the army supply right now. This is game over for herO. Force fields would not win him this game this time. And Dark played a really clean, nice game. A lot of that started with that initial late third, though. This game kind of dragged on after that. herO played a really great game.